Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Let's talk about an uncivilized mutt. We got a roach who was involved in an act of road rage. So instead of him blowing his horn and maybe throwing up the sign or whatever and speeding off, he decides to shoot into the vehicle of the other car, and he ends up killing an 11-year-old boy on his way to school. Check it out, family.
You're killing your kid?
Officer,
he's dead? Why?
I shot at him, bro. I didn't know.
Shot at him?
I didn't know. In the back.
Medical unit. Hang on. So I don't know what's going on. And people are saying somebody shot. One girl wants me to arrest him.
Road raging. He came up around the side, like on the merge, you know, where what's the one that takes you northbound, eastbound over there?
Where's he going at right now?
He's in the car on the passenger side. It's on
Over here. I gotta figure everything out.
Yeah, no, it's 100%
What happened?
I shot at him, dude.
Okay.
I didn't even know you had a kid in the car and stuff.
Okay, so that was one uncivilized mutt, but there's actually two uncivilized mutts. The police officer on the scene, first cop on the scene, he told the grieving father to shut up. The father was rightfully, just tripping, his son just got killed. And the police officer tells him to shut up till he figure out what's going on. And another thing happened here. The police officer never checked to see if the kid needed first aid or whatever. He didn't even look into the car to make sure that he really had somebody suffering from a bullet wound. Just one uncivilized mutt to another. I don't even believe that the police officer would have cuffed dude if he didn't walk right up to him and volunteer to be cuffed. Yeah, you know how they do, fam. You know how they do. Watch it. Yeah. This is according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. The prosecutors were thinking about actually charging the stepfather of the 11-year-old boy who was killed in the road rage incident. But they considered the possibility and they let it go. Authorities have said that the stepfather, Valente Ayala, and Tyler Jones were jockeying for position on the westbound 215 Beltway near Gibson Road and arguing with each other before Johns shot into the back seat of Ayala's vehicle, hitting the child in the head. So they thoroughly explored the possibility of charging the stepfather with a crime. I get it, fam. If you are behaving in a reckless manner, for example, if you're driving reckless and, are you drunk and a kid ends up dead, you can be charged. Absolutely. In this situation, they couldn't find any probable cause to charge Buddy. Family, let this be a really grim reminder to keep it moving. Keep it moving when you're out there on the road. Uncivilized mutts are everywhere. And everybody got a gun. So all that tough talk, ain't nobody scared of you. If they are scared of you, they got something to level the playing field. It don't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter if you got 5 people in the car and they're by themselves. You have to assume that people are ready. And usually the more belligerent they are, the more loud and aggressive they are, the more they're ready. Usually that means that they're ready for anything you're coming with. And that means that they're ready to fire upon you. I know it's a hard thing to do, fam, especially when somebody cuts you off or somebody blow their horn excessively or even flip you the bird. It can run you hot. You should really practice on moving on because you don't know who's in that other vehicle. And let's say you're in the right, you're well within your rights. They started it. They cut you off first, so you cut them off. They got behind you all up close and just, all bumper to bumper. They started it, right? So y'all get into it. Next thing you know, you pull the hammer out and boom, you down. You might end up in prison. There are so many people who have never been in trouble with the law, who went and bought a gun, and when they got into a physical, a verbal altercation, or even sometimes a little light physical altercation, they pulled out the gun and they started shooting, and they went straight to jail. No bail sometimes. People who ain't never been in trouble, ain't never been to jail, find themselves doing a life sentence for pulling that trigger illegally. You better know if you got that on you, if you got it on you, you better know when to use it, when it's absolutely necessary, and the only time it's deemed necessary is to protect yourself from harm. Your life has to be in danger. They have to believe that you had a reasonable threat on your life. That is the only way they'll let you slide. Otherwise, you are going to jail. And more times than not, people don't know when to squeeze that trigger. They end up in jail. We have to remember, fam, that none of us are perfect drivers. I have to catch myself from time to time because I know I have made some traffic infractions, allegedly. I know I ain't the best driver. I'm okay. I ain't the best. So I've pulled up a little too close to other people's car before. I'm driving a little too slow sometimes, driving a little too fast sometimes. I cut people off sometimes. I've driven across the lines. We have to learn how to give grace to other people when we're out there when we're out there on the road. Now, there are some people that drive like they're the police, like they own the streets, and they don't respect nothing, and they just out there just wilding. And the natural thing to do is to check that fool. But you should try to make it the natural thing to do to let that fool go. Let that fool go. Let somebody else kill him. Let somebody else go through all that trouble with courts and lawyers and trials and all that kind of stuff and not knowing what their future going to look like. Let somebody else lose their job behind that fool, lose their freedom behind that fool, lose access to their children behind that fool, or let that fool kill somebody else. See, because you can't just think about what you're going to do. You got to think it all the way through. What if it don't go your way? You about that life. You ain't scared of nothing. You about that life. You ready for it. You ready. You know what you're going to do. you know what they're going to do? That question had never been answered by many, 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 many people who we find ourselves walking on right now. Y'all be safe out there, family. No more talk.